All right, so today we're going to do the demo for French bread pizza. Let's take a look at our recipe. All right, and let's start down with the directions. What is missing from the directions? Take a look at it. What is missing from the directions, Finnegan?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands and start your soapy sink. If that was not automatic in your head, you need to write it down still. If you're not automatically going to get your hands washed and stuff, you need to write it down. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands. I've touched a few things. All right, and my soapy sink has already started. Okay, you guys are using French bread for this. You will be in groups of 4 to 5. There are several people absent today, but you'll be in groups of 4 to 5. So you're actually going to be using 1/4 of a loaf of French bread. This is half of a loaf of French bread right now. Okay. All right. So hands are washed. Next one says position rack in top third of the oven and turn to broil at 500 degrees. Have you guys ever used the broil setting on your oven? Do you even know what that is? Okay, your oven has 2 or maybe 3 depending on the type of oven. It's going to have bake and broil, B-R-O-I-L. Okay, so I'm going to go show you what a broiler is. Broiling in your oven. You're going to hit broil. It defaults to 550, so I'm going to change it to 500 and hit start. When you broil, okay, the top element, that like curly metal thing in the top of your oven is getting very, very hot. It's going to start to glow red. That is the broiler, okay? So we don't want the rack right up in the top position. We want it a little bit lower. We're going to cook in this second position, the top third. If your group chooses to do sausage on your pizza, you'll actually cook even lower in the oven because it takes longer to cook the sausage. So it can't be as close to the heat source, okay? So if you can see in there, the coil is going to start to glow. It's going to glow a really, really bright reddish pink, okay? And because this is what we call direct heat cooking, like the heat is right on it, almost like a flame, okay? When we cook with the broiler, we actually leave the door vented. You guys see how the door is open like this, okay? If you've ever used your oven at home, it probably has a position where like the door kind of catches before it shuts. That's the broiler angle for your oven door. The reason you cannot close the oven when the broiler is on is because it will get way too hot in there. It'll get well above 500 degrees, and your food will just like incinerate. So that we leave the door open so the excess heat can escape. Okay, so it's been on now. You guys can see the coil is glowing bright red. I have burned myself on those. It hurts the minute your flesh touches it. It's gone. Bye-bye knuckle or whatever you hit the broiler with. It hurts. So if you're going to put your hands in the oven when the broiler is on, you have an oven mitt on. If you touch the broiler with an oven mitt, you'll probably burn a hole in the oven mitt. But better burning a hole in the oven mitt than your hand. Okay? So I'm going to leave that on now because we're using it. I'm going to go ahead and take my pan and we're going to go make our pizza. All right. We're going to cover our pans with parchment paper. If you don't want to have a fire in your kitchen, you need to trim the parchment paper. It has happened every semester. Somebody starts a fire. Okay? Don't worry, they're not that bad. I can usually put them out with my hands. Okay? But what I do is with the parchment paper, yes, I will put out the fire with my hands. I'm that good. I trim the paper so it fits inside the pan. The biggest reason I use the pan actually has nothing to do with like the baking part of it. It has everything to do with cleanup. Okay, it makes my cleanup a lot easier. Okay, but you can see how the paper fits inside the pan now and it's not like draping over the edges. That's what we want. Okay, so The parchment paper and scissors are in the drawers of the wooden carts in your kitchen, okay? So, there's that. All right. So, place bread cut side up on a rimmed baking sheet lined with parchment paper and bake it for 30 seconds. It should look and smell toasty. Trust your instincts. Your nose and your eyes do not lie. The clock will lie to you. Okay? Some of your ovens, this is going to take 15 seconds. Some it'll take the full 30. You have to watch it. Okay? Okay, we're going to put it in the oven. I should have my oven mitt on. That's my fault that I don't. I'll put my oven mitt on. Okay. It's in. It's going. I'll even set a timer. Okay? I'll do the stopwatch. Trust your eyes and your nose. Very few of these are going to actually take 30 seconds. Okay? That happens, the metal like warps, and when it gets hot, sometimes the pans change shape. We're at 25 seconds and it already smells nice and roasty toasty. All right, so that's 30 seconds.
Ooh, wow.
Okay, I'm actually going to turn this direction because that side's a little light. And I'm just going to put that end back in to get that side a little toasty. Trust your eyes, trust your nose. Okay? Okay, there you go. Perfectly golden brown and delicious. GBD. Golden brown and delicious. All right. I am not shutting my door. I'm leaving it vented and I'm leaving the broiler on. Now it's time for toppings. All right, so it says remove from the oven with hot pads, which I did. Okay, and you're gonna spread your tomato sauce on the cut sides of the bread. So this is about 1/4 of a cup of sauce. The recipe says 1/3 to 1/2. I would argue that's probably even too much. Okay, but here's what's really important with the pizza sauce. Okay, you want to get it on to the edges of the bread because the first thing that's going to burn on this is going to be the edges of the bread that lift up. So I take a spoon and I really make sure that the sauce is spread all the way to the edge. Why do you think I toasted the bread before I started putting sauce on and didn't just wait till all the toppings were on? What do you think, Finnegan?
Because maybe the bread, or maybe
Give a guess, Vivian.
Like the sauce will maybe be like a little bit, or no?
No, well, so the sauce, like I said, kind of protects the edge of the bread on like the second cooking. But yeah.
Like the top, like where the sauce goes on the top, it wouldn't like get cooked a little bit. It would probably like all the sides maybe a little bit cooked and like the bottom a little bit cooked.
Right. So if I were to put sauce right on the fresh, soft cut bread, what would happen to that soft, freshly cut bread? What would happen? It would burn. It wouldn't burn. It would get really soggy, right? It would just like absorb it like a sponge. So this way, the sauce kind of sits on top. Plus, right, that toasty smell. Like you guys already are liking the way it smells, and it's just toast. So imagine how much better those different layers and textures of flavors are going to taste. Toast is delicious. All right, so I put my sauce on. That was about 1/3 of a cup. So understand, you guys are making half of this much in your class period. Okay, so you're going to use even less sauce. I would say you're probably going to use 3 to 4 tablespoons of sauce if we're being completely honest. Okay, you might want to write that down. All right, 3 to 4 tablespoons probably max is what you're going to use. Okay, all right, you're going to top it with mozzarella. Okay, so with the cheese, you don't want to put so much cheese on you can't see the sauce, because if you put on that much cheese, When you go to cut it, all the toppings are going to slide off on the river of cheese you just made. Which sounds great in theory, bad in reality. Okay? Nobody wants all of their toppings to go sliding off in a river of cheese. Alright? So put on a light layer. You still want to be able to see the sauce through the cheese. Alright? See? You can see the sauce
That's
through
magnificent.
the cheese. Okay? Alright. With your toppings in your groups. Okay? What you guys are going to be doing in your groups. Okay? Is down on your recipe at the bottom it says draw your bread. Okay? You're gonna draw like your rectangle of bread or whatever, and however many people are in your group, okay, divide up your bread to how many people you're gonna have. You guys have lots of topping options, right? There's pepperoni, sausage, black olives, pineapple, whatever. I've had kids do like letters, I've had kids do shapes, right? So like let's say maybe three of you all want pepperoni, so you're gonna do peas for pepperoni, right? Three of you all want pepperoni, okay? But two of you want pineapple, okay? So then we're gonna draw like some rectangles with little pineapple bits, okay? Why did I put those two side by side? Why?
Because if like you put like if you put pineapple on one and the other, and it might
Right? Would it make sense if I put this long pineapple piece in the middle of all the pepperonis? No, not at all, right? Let's say these two people both want black olives, right? So then they have black olives, okay? All right? And then these last two people want jalapenos, okay? Right? So you have to communicate with your group and figure out who wants the same toppings and then plan your pizza accordingly. Okay? So we'll do that when we have and are in our lab rooms. All right? So before I do the demo pizza, does anybody like die hard cheese only?
Not kind of McAllister. Don't come on that.
All right. So is pork pepperoni okay, or do I need to get turkey pepperoni?
Get the real pepperoni. We don't want none of that ham. We want that ham.
Yes.
If we have 4 people, how much are we gonna have in the five?
It depends on how many people show up.
4 people. Just whoever wants sausage and one person like.
That is for your group to figure out together. Yes. So like here's the deal, right? If on the day of, if you were originally in a group of 5 and only 4 people are here, you can kind of adjust the spacing, right? If you're originally in a group of 4 and only 3 people are here, you're gonna get a little bit more pizza. Okay? So maybe you like cross your fingers and hope your group those people don't come to school very often. All right. So if you want to add any seasonings to your pizza, you can do that. Okay? A little bit of garlic. Okay. I actually like to put the seasonings under the cheese. I just forgot. Okay. Yeah, I do. And the reason I like to put the seasonings under the cheese. The reason I like to put the seasonings under the cheese is because the fat from the cheese helps that flavor spread better.
Can you put cheese back on top of it?
I like the cheese. Well,
it has like more space. Like
no, it just helps the flavor.
And we put cheese back on top of it again. Another layer.
No, because there's not that much cheese in it. Okay. If you want to do like crushed red pepper or something like that, save that for the end. Okay. Those are kind of hard to control and they go everywhere. Right? So once you have your toppings figured out, okay, it says top with mozzarella and toasty toppings. Then it says broil until cheese is melted and golden. Listen for sizzling and it smells aromatic. That means it has a strong aroma, a strong smell. The meat should be cooked through. if you use sausage, this is very important. Listen to me. If any of you want sausage, if you want to put sausage on your pizza, the little balls of sausage you have to make cannot be any bigger than a green pea, like a pea. You know what I'm talking about? We all seen like the vegetable. Okay, that's how big it can be. You can put lots of them on there, but that's how big they can be because they won't cook otherwise. Okay. So, like I said, if you're doing sausage, it needs to cook in the middle of your oven for like 2 minutes longer than if you were to cook it on the top. The pepperoni is already cooked. We're literally just getting it hot. Okay, the cheese, we're just melting it. Any of the vegetables, we're just getting them hot. But the sausage is a raw ingredient, so it has to spend more time in the oven to cook. All right? So, now we're going to go back to the oven, and we're going to broil. We're going to cook on the top third because this doesn't have any sausage in it. If this had sausage, I'd be cooking it in the middle of the oven and I'd be doing it a little bit longer. Okay? So, I'm going to cook it here on the top third of my oven. Okay? Like we said, 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. You can use the timers on your oven. I'm just going to leave the oven open so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Please do not leave the oven open while you are cooking in your groups. I don't need a Hansel and Gretel moment where one of you falls into the oven, okay? No Hansel and Gretel. The witch bakes the children in her oven. Here.
Oh, can I just put it in there?
Okay. All right, we're already at 30 or 25 seconds. Can you smell it?
No?
No.
Give it a sec.
Yay.
30 seconds. So what I can see in the oven, like the little pepperonis are curling up. All the fat inside the meat is sizzling. Okay? I can hear it. The cheese is melting on the edges. Okay? I'm going to pull it out at 1 minute and show you where it looks like at 1 minute. All right. So this is after 1 minute. Okay, this is after 1 minute.
Is that yummy?
Oh yeah. Okay. That is after 1 minute. You can see how dark the parchment gets being in the oven, but that's after a minute. The cheese is already getting a little golden. This end is as brown as I like, so I'm going to kind of reposition it in the oven to make it happen. I'm actually going to put it in this way next to brown the other end. Alright, give it another 15 or 20 seconds on that end. Alright, so as your pizza's cooking, like I said, do not take your eyes off of it. Somebody needs to be watching it at all times. Because if you take your eyes off of it, 15, 20 seconds is the difference between golden brown and delicious and burnt.
Is that pan bent?
Yes, that's the heat warping the metal. That's because some kid at some point in their time in my class put a hot pan in cold water and bent my pans.
Because it doesn't have time to reshape back?
Yep. All right. So at this point, it has been in there for 2 minutes and 2 minutes only. I am done. I'm going to turn my oven off. Make sure you turn your ovens off. Okay. And after 2 minutes, a little bit of browning happened, right? But the pepperonis get all curled, and we are ready to go. All right. We're going to transfer it to a cutting board so you can cut it. The nice thing about the parchment is I can take it and go right over to the trash can.
It looks like it kind of burned a bit.
The parchment, yeah, it does. That's why I said that. Okay. You can put your pan back on top of your oven or something like that to cool. Okay. I'm just gonna set mine on this table to cool off. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, smells good. Okay. So when it is time to cut, you're gonna use your big knife. I use this hour, that's why I look like this.
Yeah, it's crusty.
You need to take your knife out of the knife guard. These do not get wet or dirty. It comes off when the knife is clean, and it goes back on when the knife is clean. Now that it's wet, it ain't like that. Okay? Yeah, but they put them on wet and they rust my knife.
Have you ever seen me put it on dirty?
Yes, and then I have to throw the blade, which nobody likes. I have to throw away the knife guard. So the knife guards come off when it's clean and dry, and they go on when it's clean and dry. Okay, so with the knives, okay, you're gonna hold the knife. I put the blade in a pinch between my thumb and my forefinger. Okay, and I hold on to it. You're gonna put it the tip down and then rock it back. Okay, so that you get a nice clean cut. It takes very little effort, and there is absolutely no sawing. Okay, you just cut back and forth. Do you want a piece?
Yeah.
Not you. I'm talking to him. Pepperoni or cheese? Okay. There you go. Ooh, look, the thing right off. Sorry, dear. You pulled it right out. Sorry. You got
It's
excited.
gonna ski well.
All right. I only had like one person these are in for cheese. Cheese only?
Yeah,
Okay.
or sausage.
All right. Okay. So the cheese only are on a separate plate.
So you each get two of them?
Should Jace come up and get it?
Jace is gonna sit right there. Okay. So as you guys are cutting up your pizza, you're gonna cut it along your topping lines. If you all did the same thing, then just cut it in fourths, okay, or thirds or whatever. Okay. You guys are getting bigger pieces because you're a smaller class.
Best teacher
My
ever.
class of 24 is 12 today.
Best teacher ever.
All right. You guys get a lot of snacks today. All right. Should I wear a shirt with a big W on it?
Yeah.
W Riz.
No.
No.
You should get a hat with the W on it.
Okay.
I
Got
saw
it.
half like that.
That's the chairs upstairs. All right.
What was that? That was not on
All right. It's upstairs. It's the chairs moving. After your pizza's all done, you guys are eating. Make sure that you're cutting your knife. Do not submerge your knife in water. Leave it on the counter until you're ready to wash it.
What happens if you do?
Because then you go to put it in the water and you can't see it because it's under all the bubbles, and then your fingers come out looking like you got in a fight with a T-Rex or
Wait, has that happened this
Where's the
semester?
knife?
Last semester?
not this semester now.
Last
Because they
semester?
followed directions last semester. So when you wash, even at my house, I don't put my knives in my sink. I set them on the counter, and when I'm ready to wash them, I keep one hand on the handle and I wash with my dishcloth and the blade away from me.
Have you ever cut your fingers?
I don't like to use a sponge on the blade because it dulls the blade. I use the dishcloth.
Does?
The sponge dulls the blade. Okay?
Sponge is hard.
You never want to run like down the blade. You run the sides of it. You never run down the blade. You run along the sides.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's gonna cut your rag.
So we run, and I like this is the dull side, and actually I wash with the blade away from me. Same thing. I rinse it. I keep my hand on the handle. If I need to, I'll like grab the top of the knife to rinse the handle and then put it back in my hand. Okay. And then same thing. I dry it. Same way. Dry the blade. Dry the handle. Whatever. Okay. Once it is clean and dry, then it can get put back in its cover. Okay. Any questions about the recipe?
No.
You feel good?
Yes.